There are different aspects of therapeutic growth and healing that we need to consider when we're stepping into trauma recovery or doing other healing work. We have to do work with our brains through our unconscious thoughts and beliefs and what our brains learn from different experiences. We have to feel our feelings and understand our emotional systems. And we have to work with our body through our nervous system. All of these systems are intimately connected, but it's helpful to think about them in these three realms: brain, heart, and body, to guide our focus or our treatment. I'm going to talk about these three areas and share grounding and mindfulness practices that help us stay present and integrate or process difficult moments or memories. These practices can become a part of our coping skill toolkit as well. We're going to start with the body, our nervous system, and the window of tolerance. The nervous system is our brain, spinal cord, and a complex network of nerves that send messages from our brain to our body. Part of what our nervous system does is to notice and help us respond to stress, threats, and danger. In this discussion, I'm going to focus just on the aspects that relate to our conversation in this course and the concept of the window of tolerance. My disclaimer is that this is intentionally oversimplified so that we don't get too lost in the details. If you want to understand the science in more depth, I'd recommend reading about polyvagal theory. So we all have a baseline level of nervous system activity, and it's constantly shifting throughout our day depending on what we're doing and what we need. When something challenging or stressful happens, we need our nervous system to activate so that our muscles can engage and we can respond to whatever that challenge is. When we're in non-threatening situations, then our system can shift into a state that allows for more relaxation and rest, and where we can digest our food and connect to our people. Let's take a look at this diagram. So the middle section represents what we can call our window of tolerance, which is our optimal state of arousal. Again, when something stressful happens, we need our nervous system to move up in activation, but ideally we also want to stay inside the boundaries of what our system can tolerate. When we are in our window of tolerance, we can manage our emotions, we have access to our higher thinking regions of the brain, and we're more likely to be in our present moment experience. Now let's focus on the other parts of this picture. When we become overwhelmed and the stress, danger, or threat of stress is too much, we might then shoot up into this hyperarousal or overactivated state. That's where we feel that high anxiety and those fight or flight responses. They take over and we can feel really overwhelmed or out of control here. This is what we call being dysregulated and outside of our window of tolerance. From overarousal, we might then move into a shutdown state. That's when freeze and dissociation comes in. Some people move into hypo, or that shutdown state, really quickly. Some may stay in the hyperarousal longer. When we're in our fight, flight, or freeze, we're in our survival states. And while these are adaptive internal processes and necessary in certain situations, they aren't as helpful for most of our daily problems of living. And those brain and body states do not allow for optimal healing or integration. Chronic stress and trauma impact how sensitive our systems are to signs of threat, how it responds, and how long it takes to come back to our baseline. In essence, difficult experiences shrink our window of tolerance, and then we end up in dysregulation too quickly or too often. Sometimes we get stuck in those places and live in those survival zones. Everybody's nervous system responses and triggers are different because we all have unique life experiences, but a common goal is to widen or strengthen our nervous system's tolerance for stress so that we can respond more appropriately without getting so overwhelmed or shutting down. Everything we talk about in this course widens that window of tolerance, and that includes the lifestyle factors from the other section: rest, nutrition, minimizing stress, restorative activities, and having supportive people in our lives. Grounding and mindfulness practices and other coping skills work directly with our nervous system at widening that window of tolerance. So let's talk about some direct nervous system practices. Breath is our first, most accessible and direct way in. A caveat being that for some people, focusing on our breath is more triggering. Again, find what feels right for you. A breathing exercise can be as simple as pausing, noticing your breath, and intentionally stretching it out. Let's try that now. Tune into your awareness of how your breath is moving in this moment. Is it shallow, slow, deep, or smooth? Now intentionally begin to deepen that inhale and stretch out the exhale. And continue for a few more rounds. For some people, a simple deep breathing pause can be enough to settle their systems. For others, it may offer a greater ability to notice and respond to whatever else might be happening inside. Focusing on our breath might not make the hard thing go away, but it will give us a greater capacity to be with it. Box breathing is another simple exercise. So this is where you inhale for a count of 4 to 5 seconds, creating that first edge of a box. Hold your breath at the top edge for the next 4 to 5 seconds. Exhale for the same count. And hold. Creating an internal image of a box connected to your breath cycle. And repeating for a few rounds. Taxing your working memory can also be used as a grounding or coping skill. If you're feeling activated, try singing the alphabet backwards or doing multiplication times tables. This tool re-engages other parts of your brain that shut off during overwhelming moments. Progressive muscle relaxation can be helpful if you feel a lot of activation in your body. So this is where you isolate awareness of different muscles in your body and then alternate between creating tension and releasing it. For example, tightening the muscles of your arms and balling up your fists, and then exhaling and releasing that tension. You can find guided recordings of progressive muscle relaxation exercises online. Similarly, self-touch can bring a sense of regulation, and it can be as simple as a self-hug and a deep breath, or a more intentional exercise. Places can also have a regulating effect on our nervous systems. There's a huge amount of research supporting the positive impact of nature on our physical selves, including our nervous system. Taking a walk outside, sitting on a porch, and noticing sensory information, scanning your horizon and widening your visual scope. These are all easy applications of this idea. The use of sound is another resource. Of course, nature sounds are soothing. Ocean sounds bring in a sense of rhythm that our system really likes. Music and even recordings of binaural beats or singing bowls can be used as tools for different states of activation. Think about creating a playlist and having it ready for when you need to find some kind of regulation. Humming and singing are also great options. And finally, as we discuss in the video on safety, noticing cues of safety and orienting exercises can be used as direct tools. A quick note, different tools are often needed or preferred for different times or different states we may be in. For example, if you're in a more hyper over-aroused state, external grounding can be helpful. External grounding is orienting to your present external environment by using your senses. You can use the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 grounding practice for this. So what are 5 things you see, 4 you hear, 3 you feel, 2 you smell, and 1 you taste. Energetic movement to kind of discharge energy can also feel good in these more hyper-activated states. Think about running or dancing. Again, it can be extra helpful if there's an element of rhythm present. If you're in a more shut down space and frozen or disconnected from your body, going inward and going gently can be helpful in re-engaging. You can do a body scan or a body scan meditation. You can start by naming the sensations you're currently feeling. Firm self-touch exercises can be helpful, and slow and intentional movements. The intention is to shift from a shutdown state to a more ideal level of activation. Direct practices are tools that you can use in hard moments to find more regulation, and that will also, with time and practice, grow your window of tolerance and start to change your nervous system's reactions. Learning your system's patterns and playing with different tools can help you find what works best for you.